Reggae Interviews. Word Sound Power.
This is DJ 745 for Reggae Interviews, here with an artist that hails from Barbados. She's just released a brand new album, Kingdom Call. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Indra.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
I need to start by just saying congratulations to both yourself and to your producer, Kris Kemist, Reality Shock Records. It's a truly remarkable set of works.
Thank you. It's the fruit of much time and a lot of love and a wholesome message.
Good. Now, we know that you are an award-winning artist, songwriter, author, dancer and vocal coach. More on all of that later, but I really want to home in on this new album, Kingdom Call. Give the viewers an idea of how did that connection between Barbados and the UK come together for you to work with Kris Kemist and Reality Shock Records?
Okay, well, I was working with Kris virtually. I never met him before, working with him probably about almost 10 years.
Wow.
And yeah, because I have a little home studio.
Okay.
So I'm accustomed recording vocals, like background vocals, and emailing them off. So we worked together like through the years like that. And then I'm accustomed to like doing my acoustic like indie projects on his side, and I was. So I offered like an exchange to see, okay, since I do your backgrounds, if you would play guitar for me, because my guitar is not half as good as his guitar. So he was like, yeah. So then after I kept sending like song on song, he was like, you know, like, okay, so what are you working on? And then it became like, it's better in his hands musically, because I can only do so far and make the music sound so good and professional. And then he basically blessed me with his production. And so Kingdom Call, the songs that we started are not the songs that are on the album. So something else happened when I came to England. Like the songs became deeper, and it was clear that it was becoming something else, something stronger, and that's Kingdom Call. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you've been working with Kris for over 10 years, you said, I guess that we've probably been blessed with your voice on many of his other productions as well then.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
But I have not met half of the people whose voice I've recorded. They're just in different countries. So, you know, it's like some names would be, I would know, and then others, I just get a song and the lyrics and my assignment. So we're working with him for a lot of his artists, but he would be better to say who those artists were. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I think that the earliest songs that I have discovered with Reality Shock Records were probably in 2016, some combinations with an artist called J Life, a song called Ja Love, and People of the World.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Those were two, I guess, combinations, y'all call them, that I think Kris produced, hopefully, yeah. So, yeah, and then more recently, I would have done backgrounds for Mikey General and, Hold Heights. And I think I've done maybe one or two on Marga and Jazz Screechy. So those people that I've gotten to actually meet. Yeah, so before would have been just like virtual. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's focus on the actual brand new album. We know it's a 12-track album, and it's just been released and it's available online digitally everywhere, Kingdom Call. As a little bit of a prelude to the album, you put out an EP in 2021 called Wake Up Call. It had 2 vocals and 2 dubs, and both of those songs are actually featured on the album as well. One of them. Okay, my mistake. So let's talk to the viewers a little bit about that EP, Wake Up Call. It almost seemed like a bit of an introduction to how yourself and Kris could work together on a full-length project.
Yeah, what was interesting is I wrote Wake Up Call in Barbados, and Crying Out was the other one. I wrote 2 of those in Barbados before coming here. And it opened up a conversation where he was like, you know, I really feel strongly about these kind of like weighty subjects. And I was like, that's good, because that's my jam, you know. So sometimes it's a bit tough for me to find my place in music, because sometimes the things I write about, they seem to not really fit in with the party crowd, let's just put it that way. So it was good when I found a producer who was like, no, those serious topics, bring them here, you know. So Wake Up Call, we weren't really planning to put out anything right then because it was like working on this album, but because of the nature of the message and the seriousness of the times, we kind of just realized like, no, this has to come out right now. So we have learned to understand the tides and the times and seasons for the music, making the music and understanding what message needs to be put to the fore for what time. So Wake Up Call kind of just pushed itself. It wasn't anything that we formally planned to release anything just then. And because I write a lot, and in the time that I was here last year, I think I wrote and recorded like 30 songs. So a lot of songs are just like sectioned off, and then we might have a plan, and then sometimes the dial changes in the world and it's like, oh shoot, it's time for this one. Yeah, so that's even like how Plant Up the Land came.
Okay.
So we're just riding the tide while making plans, but understanding the bigger design in the songs.
And I guess that putting music out organically when the time is right rather than pushing it, I think that's always going to deliver the best in an artist and a producer as well. So, you know, you're not trying to chase a wave of trying to follow that next trend or, you know, that next sort of fashion or something. You're going in with something that's very deep and pure within your own heart. You want to get that message out there. It's clear within the lyrics of the songs that I've heard so far that you're very passionate about the upliftment of humanity, helping people to survive these times that we've been going through in recent years.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit wary of trends, you know, like, because who's setting it and why should I follow it? You know, and I think we all kind of realize like, okay, we've been receiving some messages that some of us maybe thought was entertainment, but yet it's almost like there's been a deeper meaning. We just weren't paying attention. So because of Word Song and Power and knowing what I know, with obviously room to grow, because every day is another lesson, every day is another mistake. But when certain things are like, you get downloaded certain things, you may not fit in, but it's really about the people. It's not about me making it or that kind of thing. It's about me being a vessel to say something, because it's word power and sound. So when you sing a song that has come through me, for those times that you're not listening to the radio, those times, those seasons that we've been going through and the ones to come, you're actually speaking life, like you're singing songs of life, not just some seasonal something that could come and go and make me popular. This is actually, I'm cooking for you, and I hope it's wholesome. So yeah,
it's kind of like you're doing a slow cook and the food's always going to taste tastier that way, right?
Well, once I make sure that I'm cooking with love and not cooking for any hidden agenda, you know, including pushing myself. It's like you're cooking for people you love. So yeah.
Okay. Now in 2022, Reality Shock, they put out 2 singles. Shine on You, I think that came out around about, I think it was like spring summer 2022. What a great song that was. I mean to me that was like you were almost singing to the people of Barbados.
Exactly, yeah. It started definitely from being, where was I? In Reading at the time, and just like peeking in just on the news every now and then, and when my heart breaks a lot, sometimes songs spill out. And so I was just seeing, you know, certain things, and it really, as I said, it spills out in song, and it was like sending a message to the people of Barbados, literally. And because I don't try to confine songs, it started for Barbados, but it's really for people beyond. So if you could identify with that, if the words "you can overcome every single obstacle that is placed on your path," you could identify with it. It's not only for Barbados, but it started that way. Yeah. So that's kind of how my songs, they might start with a particular thing. It might even be something I'm going through, but you're always reminded to not be selfish. It's other people that are going to be, I'm feeding this too. So it has to be pertinent to them, not just something about me or what I'm going through, you know?
Yeah. And there was a great video to that as well, wasn't there?
Filmed and directed by Kris Kemist too. Wow. Multi-skilled, and filmed that in Barbados, because obviously the sound of it and the imagery and stuff, that was beautiful to be able to film that, you know, at home where I'm from, and just share that imagery and stuff, because people who might have known me before, seeing a different, they know me a lot as background vocals, so they're seeing me differently, and I'm trying to connect the people that I'm meeting in London, the people who are supporting me in England and beyond, who are supporting what I'm doing now, kind of introducing to them to the people I'm from, and just making them hold hands kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when I've sort of listened to that song Shine On You, and also the other song that was released in 2022, Plant Up the Land, it almost sort of seems like you're sort of relating to your own life experiences of growing up in Barbados. I mean, I know that you've got a blog that we're going to talk about as well, and within the blog I think that you've sort of referenced that you've done lots of voluntary work on farms as well.
Yeah, I volunteered, well, a year on a farm. I was living on a farm, but I volunteered on another farm when I took a little travel break. Okay. And that was just a beautiful journey, you know, just having that quiet. You know, in music we're around sound a lot, but a lot of people don't know that we all have a kind of need for those quiet moments, you know. Even though we love music, sometimes there's those pockets without music that make you savor when you hear the music more, you know. And sometimes you just need that quiet to connect. And music can be very, when you love something, you get very absorbed in it. But it's good sometimes, and it's a career. When you take it as a career, it can push you down to a lot of vanity. So when you have that quiet moment, when there's nobody around to impress, there's nothing, no frills, no nothing. It's just you, dirt, earth, sun, sweat, and just the Most High. And then you seeing these things grow and realizing that this is food is very humbling beyond all the decorative stuff in life that looks like it means something. But I think as times change and we go through certain things, we start to realize what really, really matters. It's not necessarily the things we have, but the things we understand, those quiet moments when you know yourself, not defined by who you're around or the industry you're in. There's those quiet moments, and you happen to be growing food at the same time. I had that revelation unfold every day on the farm. Okay. You know, and in a practical sense, when we look at what's going on in the world, even if you don't have a big set of land, at the very least, to know where your food comes from, and that you, just by putting a little time, a little care, a little love, having a soil cup and some water, can grow even the smallest thing, or actual food to put on the table, and take care of yourself at the same time. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like a lot of the songs have got a very deep meaning, but it seems like it's very personal to you as well. A lot of artists that I talk to will often say that they write songs based on life experiences of what people around them are doing, but a lot of the songs that I've heard from Indra seem to be very much based and focused on your own life experiences. Would that be true?
In a way, because if I'm saying something as offering encouragement, I would like to know that I could back it up. Like, not just to say somebody who's like, oh yeah, you don't need money to get through and I've never lived without money, but because I could say, I remember a birthday I had 25 cents and I went to the beach and I had a good time. I went home and cooked a little small something. I could tell you from a personal experience, if you have 25 cents, you could still get to season beyond that. It might feel like that's all you know, that's all, so you're never going to get out to that. But because I've gone through that, when I speak, it's with conviction, not just to rhyme for rhyming's sake. Yeah. I've been there. I might not have been through exactly what you've been through, but if I've been through a storm that I somehow by grace managed to get through, and I'm singing about it, I'm speaking from, not just like telling you something that I have not witnessed or experienced for myself. I'm not going to send you somewhere I never went with any confidence or feel good about sending you something or telling you something that I can't back up, you know? So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've mentioned songwriting, and I know that you have put pen to paper for lots and lots of people in the music industry. Just to name a few artists, including Luciano the Messenger, Mr. Vegas, Nadine Sutherland. Are all the songs on the new album penned by yourself?
Yeah, I've always been a writer, but that opportunity, because I saw that as an opportunity to write. I've written also for some of my vocal students too. Came because through Vegas, really, all of those came because I was doing his background vocals, and at one point he saw me playing the guitar and was like, oh, or like, who wrote that song? I was just singing just in a quiet little corner as I do. I'm waiting for my turn to go and record, and then he was like, I wrote that song. And he was like, oh, you're a writer. Oh, you should write a song for me. And I was like, write a song for Mr. Vegas? He must be kidding. But he was serious. And then from that moment, you know, he introduced me to Mikey Bennett and Rory as a writer. And I was like, I do background vocals. I had kind of gotten used to smalling down myself, like just do background vocals and write these little songs on the side, because that's not what's popular, as you know. And when they realized I wrote songs, and songs that I think they liked the substance of, they didn't want to hear about me doing background vocals. They were like, nah, write for Natal, write for thing, write for. And so at that point I was writing up to like 4 songs a day, and just holed up in a room listening to rhythms, being sent rhythms, and writing, and wrote and co-wrote about 7 or 8 on Vegas's album. And it's him who basically set up the other opportunities to write. And I wrote all these songs just because I write a lot and I write naturally, you know, so music is not a side thing for me. So I'm almost always writing, and sometimes purposely, and sometimes I might be doing something and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go and yeah, exactly, yeah. So
And I have to add that one of Vegas's biggest hits, Sweet Jamaica, that was actually penned by yourself as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
In a little apartment in Silver Sands, just again being emailed a beat and write to it. And I wrote it months before it was released, and then that time Jamaica was going through that situation with Dada and thing, and it was another one because, well, he and a lot of Jamaicans, but he makes music so fast. It's such a quick turnover. He done forget about that. He had shortlisted it, but he was done forget writing enough tunes. And when that was happening, and as usual, Jamaica was getting a bad rap. And yeah, it has a lot of problems, a lot of challenges, just like any other place, which is becoming more evident. No matter how fancy you want to look, we all got problems. And because I've been to Jamaica so much times, I felt like they were focusing more on that story as opposed to all the other beauty that Jamaica has to offer. So I messaged, I was like, because sometimes I just get these unctions, I said, this is the time for that song, you know. And he was like, oh, what song? And I told him, and then he was like, yeah. So I could say I started it, but obviously I was given the rhythm, which I had to give credit to because that's what gave the inspiration. And then shortly after, he called me and he was like, oh, Shaggy called, he and Josie Wills, they want to be on it, but they want to write their verse. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, like, you know, and then they did that, and then it just became like it was done like 4 times. And so that's a kind of quiet highlight, you know, that just in my ups and downs of this very interesting musical journey, that was one of the things I was like, no matter what season you might be going through, because things were pretty popped down at that time, but you still see and know that this music can reach, and if there's a message in it, it can reach beyond the little circumstances of life that you go through, you know?
I mean, you know, some of the people that I think you've been a songwriter for, you've obviously got a really natural talent. What age were you when you first discovered your ability to write maybe in things like poetry, songs at a young age? What age were you?
I don't know. I know. I just know, I mean, I was in primary school, I would say like around 7, 8, because I used to read a book a day, like, yeah, and then write short stories. So I had like detective stories and poetry. And then in school, I was kind of known for like sometimes during some subjects, unfortunately, I would write little songs and then sing them to my friends at lunch. And it's just kind of, people who know me from since school would not be surprised to know how things have evolved. And I just realized that I wasn't necessarily the maths, well, not necessarily, wasn't at all like science, maths kind of person. My leaning was like languages and English and arts, And when I got my guitar, well, I used to play my mum's 1-string guitar, but then when I got my guitar, I realized it just helped me write a lot more songs, and it just was kind of undeniable, like this is something that comes from me that is bigger than me. It humbles me when it comes to me, so it's not all constructed by me. And then as you get that acknowledgement from people who are bigger than me, then I just realized, okay, it must be something to it.
So what age were you when you very first went into a recording studio and actually recorded your first song?
I don't remember the first song, but I remember at 16, me and my sisters, that we were in an all-girl harmony group looking to bust it. We did an ad. I do remember that thing, but probably just after I left college, which was probably around 19, because we were done singing, going to school, going to college, and then singing in clubs.
Okay.
Doing a little one feature for no money, you know. But somewhere around that time, I had an opportunity. I was working at a travel agent, probably like 21 or something. Even though we were working with Eddy and recording, we were doing a lot of backgrounds, and we did do a group, like 1 or 2 singles. But for me, myself, I was working at a travel agency, and these 2 Canadian producers came in one time, and they were like, "Oh, we heard that you're a great singer and a songwriter." And I was like, "What? I'm just selling tickets. What's this madness?" And I remember it was Carlos and Derek Bryn, who's like a big producer and thing. And I ended up in the studio and wrote a song called Soca Samba. That was my first.
Okay.
My first solo recording, and I never stopped from then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And back then you were using the artist name Indrani, which I know has been shortened to Indra.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that change?
Well, my actual given name is Indra.
Okay.
But 2 music friends I work for, which is Masha Montano and Alison Hines, for some reason, people have always give me a nickname. So I have a million nicknames, but that Indrani used to call me Indrani or Johnny or Dradra. And so then people who knew me they just took to it. Yeah, I don't know. They just took to it. And so they were like, "Oh, I like this name, whatever." And then after I took that break, this was in 2013 when I took that break and to get some perspective and stuff, I was still recording and releasing music, just my own in homegrown studio. But then when I kind of came off the farm and said, "Okay, I going again," and introducing myself, I going out there again, I was like, just my name,
Indra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And was this around the time when you started first working with Rory as well?
Around that time, yeah, kind of around that. Actually, just after that time, because just after Jamaica, I went to Barbados. This is after writing songs constantly. Just my whole day was just like being in a room by myself, writing song after song. So although I love it, there's a point that, sometimes you could stop breathing, stop living, stop going outside. Them things are natural to me. So when I went to Barbados after that time just churning out songs, I was like, wait, boy. I threw in my phone. I went on the farm, volunteered the farm. I got quiet. Did a lot of hiking, a lot of fishing at the time. I was not vegetarian. I was taking a break from being vegetarian. And I just got some perspective. And that basically was that incubation time before where we are right now. Yeah.
I mean, I know that you've put out some songs with Rory and his Black Dub label. There was a matching song to a song that Kida put out called Ganja Tea. I think that song was called Under Your Spell.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then also Journey as well. Yeah, is there more works planned with Rory as well for the future years?
Yeah, I think it was September. I went to Jamaica before coming here to England for about 4 days or something, and he basically was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to release the album that started from Journey, and all them was part of an album."
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, so when you gotta be patient, let me tell you. So I was like, okay. So he said, "Well, you gotta write some more tunes," and so I wrote some more tunes, and then he was like, "Yeah, this," and when I went there, he said, "Okay, I'm gonna re-record them," because he wants to re-record them. So I went to Jamaica just before coming here, and basically recorded the rest of the songs that are going to be on that album. And he said that will be out early in the year. I don't have a month, but early in the year. So
it sounds like 2023 we're going to have 2 albums. The one called Kingdom Call with Kris Kemist, and possibly another album further down the line as well. So quite a lot of exciting music to look forward to.
Thank you. Some more also coming, one from Shilohites, I think that's Sweden, and I'm always writing, but those are the 2 that I can mention at this point that have formed, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the blog that you started. The blog is called It's Joy Within. I believe it was started around about 10 years ago. Some really interesting posts on there, and one of the things that I was really touched by was it was actually almost what looked like your songbook. That you've been posting as well, and it's just really nice to be able to see how that, you know, you take those first steps from putting pen to paper, which I think is an art that probably doesn't happen as much because everyone's on mobile phones these days. So it was actually nice to actually see a physical book and pen and paper.
Yeah, well, that's how I really love to write. It doesn't always look that neat. It says through the songbooks they look different, and sometimes through these last couple years I started writing on my phone. But I do love that because I like art and doodling. I love that tactile kind of, you know, it just feels more and it's easier to learn your songs when you're a part of writing them as opposed to just typing. You know. So that's how I really love to write songs. And the blog actually came at that point when I was like, took the break, went on the farm, and I just got this unction to write this blog. And I was like, Chad, and I'm like, I'm looking to just, you know, live a quiet little life, learn to cook and just garden and farm and just getting this thing now, do a blog. And I was like, well, there's no volume in that. I could still be quiet and really get some perspective and stuff. So I started blogging and said, well, let me take the focus off. I have these in my different platforms. I have like 20,000 people. So instead of sharing about me and music, let me share about where I am. Let me share about my island. Let me share about, I took a break from traveling, and that was hard because I'm a woman who always had my passport in my purse. You know, I'd literally just go, and I started to realize the refinement of what happens when you just stay. Just when you know, just spend time at home, spend gardening, and you're able to give more when you purposefully go out as opposed to just all over the place, you know.
On the go.
Yeah, on the go. And it brought something softer out of me, deeper out of my songs, and it made me love the things that come with music more. Because I always loved music, but the, you know, the schmoozing and the this and that, I'm not good at that kind of stuff, you know. I'm good at the organic things, but I'm aware that certain things have to be done. Yeah. I just also admit I'm not the best person to do them. Let me just download and do the music, and those people with those strategic business heads, it's better that I'm not so involved. So the blog allowed the softness, not the softer side of me, still me, the softness to come out. And it kind of disciplined me and like, okay, you're a traveler, but I know how I used to give nature tours and stuff in Barbados, and I have that being in the same place experience, but I started to see a seed of ingratitude, like, because you know how to travel. But I was like, okay, you're in one island, still travel, really explore, you know, like. So I got into hiking and just seeing things with a more grateful eye, and that started to spill over into the blog. And it's only now, because I kept the blog separate from the Facebook group, and it was like, that was like my little thing, and the readers from what now is 100 countries. Before it was just me and a few people, and it started to grow as something, you know, its own little thing. And I kind of made it separate, as I said, and I just started bit by bit kind of introducing the people on the blog to, okay, I happen to do music, you know. So yeah. Because I think through the blog, I think that I've learned that you've also written a cookbook as well. Yes, that also came from that time just being on the farm, because one of my priorities, you know, after all the things that, you know, happen with touring and all these fancy stages, one of my priorities getting quiet was learning how to cook better and more confidently, you know. Coming from Caribbean people, women, you kind of know how to cook. Like my mum and them, they could throw down all my aunts and stuff. And I felt like, Chad, and I would really like to learn how to cook. And that takes time. But before studio, I never had any time. And 8 sessions a day, always on the road, you can't really eat because you have to sing, so you're not supposed to be full. So certain unhealthy habits I was able to address. And now I make sure now that I'm in a good place so I could be refreshed when I gotta come and show up. It's from a place of refreshment, you know. And that way you're always yourself. I don't have to put on anything. If we suddenly say, okay, I have to go and sing, I put down this cup and I go and sing, and it's natural, you know. So the book came only because, like, people kept asking me, oh, what's the recipe to this? Oh, this corn soup tastes so good. And I'm like, me? Like, I never really considered myself. And then that gave me more confidence, and cooking. I started to love it. You know, it's like you're all that homey stuff, and I just enjoy it, you know, from the house cleaning to the cooking and things. Those are like my things that are the untrendy things that I enjoy, and I don't feel no way that I enjoy them.
And I think we have it on good authority that your food is very tasty as well, from what Kris has said to me as well.
Well, that's good to hear, because I really, really enjoy, you know, I just enjoy cooking. Yeah, you know, it doesn't have to be a big production or anything. It could be quiet. Sometimes I'm writing, sometimes I'm just being, you know, so it's good to know that it's received and enjoyed. Yeah.
So this album then, so we've got 12 tracks, and I know that some of the songs that have been released so far have had almost like a reggae sort of like background to them, but it's not entirely reggae, is it, this new album?
Nah, because I come from that acoustic background, and that's I would say foundation really, and that's that was and still is important to me, as because I was fighting when I was doing acoustic in Barbados, you know, it's like soca town, and I just love guitar really. I don't know how to describe it other than I just love guitar. It's just so beautiful. And then I started to get all this love. I love reggae, and I started to get love from the reggae audience, and that feels so good. But I also want them to know honestly, but wait, there's more. Yeah, so that I'm honestly true to myself, that I don't know hide this part of myself and have you getting to know me, you know, like you might also think you don't like acoustic music, but if you like message music and that's why you like reggae, then here's the same message in a softer form, you know. And so that way I always want to make sure that I'm true, that I'm not just like, oh, going with a trend. These people like me over here, so this is hot, so let me do this, you know, that it always comes from that organic place. So yeah, there's gonna be some acoustic sprinkles in there, yeah, but it's always got that balance of acoustic roots, you know. So
if I was to ask you, what's the one thing that you wanted to achieve in putting out this album, Kingdom Call, what would that one thing be?
That they receive the message beyond enjoying the music, you know, that they receive the message because of this. I mean, Kris posted it the other day on his Facebook about, and I have been witness to the love that has gone into, I mean, I know the love that I write the songs and stuff, but the love that has gone into the music, that it's so present but not obnoxiously created to take away from the essence of what we want you to receive, which is the words, you know. So it's not like to get so mesmerized by either, but to be present and receive the fruit of the message is what we hope. And it, like I said, it was just so much love that is in the album. So more than discovering a new female reggae singer and those little normal flags that people look for. I hope that even beyond discovering me as an artist, or really listen, receive and believe, so that when the storms of life come and the plans unfold, you have these flashcards, which are like these sonic flashcards that you can repeat, and that will give you that strength and that encouragement beyond just, a nice artist, nice song, nice album, nice production. I like those things. Yeah, that's nice. But something that lives on and you could take with you in life, you know. So yeah.
No, I think I can definitely relate to that, because, you know, even as we're talking now, I can certainly think of, I've got certain go-to albums that I'll listen to whenever you're sort of going through any sort of like trials in life. I've got albums that I can sort of pick out and I think, right, that's what I'll listen to. That's it. You know, and, you know, I certainly think that in this time where, I don't know, I feel as though reggae is getting a really big fight across the world in terms of the beats, the rhythms are changing, how music is being made in Jamaica is changing. You know, we've just recently, last year, had the reggae name drop from the MOBO Awards in the UK and things. So I think that what you're putting out, which is sort of like going more towards the traditional form, is what is needed. Because there are still people out there that want to listen to what I'm going to call message music. There's just not enough of it being put out there.
That is deep, because that's how I know reggae to be. And even though it, like when I was doing my acoustic only or mostly, I was like, for instance, I always have a chant. That was my thing. Like, I love to chant, and because it's always been message music, even reggae always had, like, I had a reverent respect for reggae. So me even hearing these, like, or, you know, seeing this or that is like, oh, but it doesn't change how I feel about it. And obviously there's people who been steeped in reggae before me, so I just hope that if they've been longing for that, oh, I would really love to see, you know, this or that, I hope that they can feel like, you know, that refreshment, you know. And for people who might, we were having this conversation the other day, you know, some people haven't had that journey or encounter with music being anything other than just the flavor of the day. So I hope that, you know, something that they hear, whether it's in the tone of the music or in the word sound, something that lifts them to that place that I know that reggae historically has been, you know, that vibration, that pulse that's not just a genre, it's a liberty, you know, it's a movement. And if there's any time that you need something uplifting in terms of music, because we really realize that certain things have been used as distractions. As people become more aware, I'm hoping that this could be something that fills that hole, you know, fills that gap, you know. And obviously there's more than me. It's just I know that the life I've lived has shaped me a certain way, and that I've been gifted with a producer who has had his own journey, and it's coming forth organically, and people are taking to it. So my duty is to, you know, ask for humility all the time and don't get like a big head or say like this and that. And I think because it's taken me a while to get here, that I can see a bit clearly, you know, and I'm determined not to get distracted by the stuff that I know will happen, but to, as much as I could possibly do, remain true to always bringing like good fruit, you know.
Well, look, I really want to thank yourself and Kris for speaking to us today about the brand new album, which I know is out on all platforms. A closing message to the people that are watching the interview today and have been inspired by what you have said today.
First I want to say thanks for the invitation, a warm welcome. It's lovely. And most thing I would like is, yes, the album Kingdom Call, and yes, I would love you to listen, but beyond that, like in life, let's be conscious, you know. And people, because of these recent storms, there's people who are struggling and maybe not looking like they're struggling, or don't know how to reach out, or they think they're alone. And hopefully in the messages that you hear, they know, you know, that you're not alone. There is something called hope. This is something that is real, you know. And so that's what I would like, and to just be conscious of the devices, distractions, and to really remain focused. And enjoy music, but hopefully eat well, you know, So hopefully this is a meal that they can recognize is something wholesome and made with love for them.
Indra, once again, thank you so much for your time today. One love.
Thank you. Blessings all the time.
Reggae Interviews. Word Sound Power.